We're not muted.
All right.
We did it. Hello.
Hi.
But yeah. Hi. How are you?
I'm stoked. So I'm Nate. I work with Lead. And who are you?
I'm the most influential gamer, Ness underscore. Yeah, I've been doing SS4C for literally just under the amount of time I've been speedrunning. And
Nice.
Honestly, like for the amount of time that I've been doing this, this like charity type stuff, it's always nice to hear like how long other people have been doing it, and you literally like work in like charity stuff. So how long have you been doing this?
How long have I been doing charity work?
Yeah, like charity work and like working with Lead.
Sure. Yeah. So I joined Lead back in 2018. And that was shortly after I moved from a job working also in prevention. So maybe taking a step back, Lead is a prevention organization, which basically means we do a lot of stuff around primarily mental health and talking with young people and adults about the benefits of taking care of our individual and like collective mental healths. And Lead was originally founded as a drug use prevention organization that has kind of learned over time, rather, that it's not about the drugs, it's about the mental health and taking care of ourselves and each other. And so I've been involved in that sort of effort personally since I was in middle school. I was in my hometown in California. I was a member of a youth-led prevention organization. And I worked for them for a couple of years. And there I got connected with Lead's CEO, Andy, who you all get to meet. Is that on Monday? And he and I kind of hit it off. And in 2018, I officially applied for and joined Lead. Back then, I was their coalition director. I've actually had like 4 or 5 titles since then. Today, I'm a prevention consultant with them. And basically, just that means I go around and actually talk with groups of folks kind of like you, but middle school, high school students, primarily in the Illinois state, but across the country, about the benefits of mental health and kind of drug-free choices and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you say primarily in Illinois, but like where else? Like how do you go like, nationwide, or how do you go to other places?
Yeah, so I think maybe a lot of folks on hopefully watching the stream have experienced prevention in some way. And I hope that it's always been a good experience. But, when I was a kid, I experienced the DARE program, which has its issues, and that police officers would come in and say, this is a bag of weed, don't smoke it or you'll die, like that kind of stuff. And so that intent that schools have to educate their teens about alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs is still there. We just do it with, research-backed methods. And so schools will call us and ask for us to come in and talk about, vaping or other sorts of substances, and maybe to explain to teens why they shouldn't use. And oftentimes we then come in and mostly talk about mental health and the effects that alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs might have on their mental health, and really come at it from that direction. But yeah, schools contact us. We've been, I think we've actually spoken in almost all 50 states. I think we've yet to get to Hawaii and Alaska, but we'd love to. And I personally, I think I've spoken in 4 or 5 different states throughout my career. So I'm relatively new to the speaking part of our work, but Lead has definitely had quite a bit of reach. And that's just to say of our speaking work, not all of the other programs that we do. Like I think you guys have spoken about or posted our ad for Text for Help, which is a whole different thing that we do that is in line with our mission.
Yeah. So what exactly is Text Help or Text for Help?
Yeah. So if anyone's familiar with us from back in the Cozy-thon days when, middle of the pandemic, it was called Text a Tip, but it's now called Text for Help. And that's kind of the same thing. So really what this is, it's a response to a community need. When Andy first moved to his position at Lead back in 2012, there were several student deaths by suicide in the local community. And it really kind of rocked all of the adults. They're like, what's happening? What do we do? How do we help the teens in our community with the stuff that they're struggling with? And Andy, having a background in working with young people, kind of went and ran focus groups with teens. He went into high school and said, what's going on? What are you experiencing? And how can we help? And they said, we're under a tremendous amount of pressure and we're really struggling with, anxiety and all. They didn't necessarily put exact names to it because this was like 10 years ago, but said, we know that there's resources here. We know that there's therapists around, but we feel kind of uncomfortable walking down the hallway and being judged for walking into the therapist's office. And I will say, as an aside, I think that's changed quite a bit recently. I think people are much more willing to get support and see mental health professionals. I think that's a great thing. But at the time, they didn't really want to be seen as going and getting mental health support. And so they said, we need some way to talk to somebody. We want to talk to professionals. We want to do it anonymously. We want to be able to do it anytime. And we don't want other people to know about it. And so he, working with them, kind of created the concept of just a text messaging service. And that's really largely what it is teens text into a specific phone number. They may include a keyword that represents their school, but that's all the identifying information that we get. And they're connected immediately with a licensed therapist or counselor who can help them with whatever it is they want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds honestly like, excuse my like not super formalness here, but it sounds super awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we're really proud of it. It's something that we've been doing since Andy created it 10 years ago. I've been running the back end of it for a little while now. We've gotten it to a place where it's very stable. And kind of how we differ from maybe other text lines that you've heard of, like you've heard of like the National Crisis Helpline or other lines like that. I know some states have their own local lines, is we partner directly with schools. So they may ask us to come in and do a presentation, or they might ask us to do, community surveying, or they might ask us to come in and work with them on Text for Help. But what we like to do is provide data back to our schools that we partnered with for Text for Help. And so we don't reveal who students are by any means. We don't actually record that information, but we will give them aggregated data back. So we'll say, over the course of the past month, we had 30 students from your school text in, and, 10% were texting about bullying, 11% were texting about anxiety, whatever that breakdown happens to be. And that gives information back to faculty members and administrators that they could then, design programming to maybe address things that are going on their campus. And so we like to make sure that we're supporting students directly, because that can be prevention, right? If someone texts in about thoughts that they're having, and one of our therapists is able to have like an emergency conversation with them to kind of bring them from a hot place to a cool place quickly, that can be prevention, because it stops an issue before it becomes a major issue. But also on a larger scale, being able to give that data to schools, that also could be preventive down the line if they're able to put things in place to deal with maybe the top reasons why their students text in.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, because all these programs and all like this integration with like the different schools sounds honestly like super incredible. Other than like donating to like SS4C and donating to you guys directly, is there any other like great ways to support you guys?
Yeah, I mean, the donation, we appreciate the donations by any means. That's fantastic. You can do it on our website as well, but please like keep it in the charity here or in the event here, because I know you all have some really cool incentives that you've put out there, and I'd love to see, streamers get challenged a little bit more. But if anyone wants to support us in other ways, I mean, check out our website, linkingefforts.com, or the short link golead.co. And I know y'all are putting that out for us. But honestly, if you are an adult with teens or kids, if you're a faculty member or a school superintendent, if you're a young person yourself, or just a caring community member that wants to see something like Text for Help in your community, or if you want to see community surveying done like the CYS, which is a new thing that we do, or if you want to see, substance use prevention done really well in a school that's near you, you can reach out to us if you have connections with that school, or you can reach out to the school and suggest us. And we're happy to kind of take those conversations and support. And even then, we also do things online. The pandemic really made everybody open up virtually. I think that's where a good number of streams have come from as well. But we, case in point, I live in Colorado these days, but in a couple weeks, I'll be doing a presentation for some students in Illinois, and just running it virtually. So we also offer those things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just because we're on the subject of like supporting the event and supporting the charity, is there any runs that you yourself like you really want to take a look at?
You know, I hadn't had a chance to dig into this season schedule. I will say that in the past, my favorites have always been like Zelda related games. I have this like dream of being able to do like Breath of the Wild, like a speed. The Become Monkey run. People have talked about that, and I think it's just so freaking funny. And I think my Switch is hanging out, but I've played a little bit. It's been a little bit tough. I just actually recently entered grad school, and so I haven't had the time to play as much as I'd like to. But I don't see any Breath of the Wild on for this season, but I saw some other Zeldas, and so I might have to get back into my nostalgia and watch Ocarina of Time, or I think you may have had a Majora's Mask as well.
We had from Zelda. Oh, I'm drawing a blank. We have Four Swords. We have Four Swords. We have Ocarina of Time Randomizer.
Yeah,
and we have Oracle of Seasons. There we go.
I mean, for drawing a blank, you did really well there.
Yeah, it took me a second. But yeah, I know earlier when we were just like messing around in the green room chat, I said I wouldn't like dig super deep and ask you like super hard questions so you could just be prepared for anything.
Yeah.
But I did want to ask you about your third grade teacher of all things.
Yeah. So for context for everyone who's listening, you threw that out there as like, I'm not gonna get like really difficult and ask you about your third grade teacher. And I was like, actually, that's probably the best one to ask me about. Simply because he is probably one of the main reasons why I got involved in gaming. And that being relevant to much of my career, I've always been on the tech side of things. But yeah, in third grade, he had a library, and this was in the like Windows XP like 95 kind of era when everything was still on discs and you use CD keys, and there wasn't even like DRM. And so he just lent out video games out of his classroom library if you like did well on a test or whatever. And so I would do schoolwork just to get access to things like SimCity or SimFarm or SimTower or whatever that I could take home and play. And my mom's rule was, as long as you get your like chores and homework done, you can play games all you want. But if the computer breaks, you have to fix it. And Windows XP and Windows 95 were terrible operating systems.
Yeah.
And so I learned how to be good at computers because of that. And that got me into a lot of the careers and jobs that I've had, like with Lead being so tech focused with like Text for Help and Bloom and CYS and some of the things that we do really tech wise. That's where that part of me comes as well. So I'm like prevention and tech. But I actually went and got this because I knew I thought you were going to ask this question. But right up here in my camera is SimCity. I used to go back to his classroom actually, it was after I'd graduated college, and I would talk to his students about working in the video games industry because I spent a little bit of time working there when I was in high school and early in college. And after the last class that I spoke to of his, he gave me this, and this is still a plastic wrapped. I think it's one of the like early copies of the original SimCity, so I keep it around as a memento of that time.
Yeah, that's so sweet. Honestly, I wish I had like some teachers that were like that like into getting like kids engaged because like I didn't have that until like high school, honestly. But a lot of my elementary like school was just like not super engaging. The teachers, it was rough.
Yeah,
but it's so cool to hear like stories like that.
It's nice. And I would ask you, maybe not to like force you into a deep question, but were there any teachers that had moments with you that you felt like they cared about you? Like that, any teachers that spent time with you in a way that made you feel like they had an interest in you?
Yeah. So, the one that I can think of off the top of my head was in high school, in my like second half of high school. I like transferred to a different school, and there was this like first year like chemistry teacher, and I think he only did chem and like AP bio or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like super nice, and he'd like sometimes like bring his kids, or like his wife would come to drop something off for him. He was like super nice, and he was like an open book, and I just like absolutely loved being in his class, even though I totally suck at chem.
Sure.
But there was a lot of like uh stuff that he would like talk about to me that he was like learning through his like teaching teaching programs, because at the time I wanted to be a teacher, and still I wouldn't mind it, but it's so much
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would like tell me about stuff he was learning. He'd like relay stuff to me. He would like talk about his different classes and like how they were doing. Like we would have like just like super open conversations, and he's like super great. And after I graduated, he even like texted me asking if I'd like go to his house to like fix some of his instruments, because he bought some and they were like broken. And I know a lot about like instruments, and I like went and fixed them for him.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's important, and I asked the question, it was motivated. Because one thing that we talk about pretty often with LEAD when we're talking with teachers and other adults in the community is the value of an adult who cares in a young person's life cannot be understated. It's one of the best protective factors against a lot of things, including substance use. But having someone, an adult, typically not a parent, having parents who care is always important. And I'm not downplaying that, but especially having an adult outside of the family who cares and can help nurture whatever it is you happen to be interested. It's great to hear that your teacher supported you in your kind of exploration of becoming a teacher yourself. And that can be tremendous in helping young people develop a sense of who they are, of developing resiliency, and of helping them along, the rough time that can be in high school. And so I thank you for sharing with me. And I will say, I hope that if that spark is still there for you to become a teacher, to consider it, because we definitely need more teachers. We definitely need, really, we need a change in, I think, the education system, and that right now teachers are getting really, they're doing a tremendous amount of work. They're not getting a ton of compensation or recognition for it. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there to make it better for everybody involved. And there are plenty of schools that are starting to do things like that. And so if you've got the passion around being a teacher, I would encourage you to find something maybe like that in your life where you can be a role model. Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you started this charity, is that right?
Yeah, I started this event way back in like 2015 or 2016.
Okay, and I'm horrible at math, but is this the 9th one? I think I saw on the
Yeah, this is the 9th one, but one year we did 2.
Okay, so you've been doing this for 8 years. You started a
Yeah.
charity, you've got a group, you're organizing all sorts of folks around you. Like, this is what you all are doing here is creating community. You're creating a group of people that care about something. And someone who's taken that initiative, I think you are a tremendous role model. And so if there's any place that you can go out and share and show who you are, I just think that's a tremendous opportunity for young people to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Of course.
I was gonna say something, but I totally forgot because that totally caught me off guard. But yeah, I remember now.
Sure.
I know you said you're a big fan of Zelda.
Mhm.
If there is any series, any game series other than Zelda that
Okay.
you would want to speedrun, like personally, which one would it be?
That is tough because I love Zelda because of the nostalgia it has for me. But in terms of the games that I typically spend most of my time playing, like right now, my top played is RimWorld over the past like year, 2 years. And I'm not quite sure you could speedrun RimWorld, but if you could, I would. I think that might be something fun to do. I'm really into the kind of like sim and strategy games.
Yeah, a lot of there's actually a lot of like community around um, some games that you like quote unquote typically can't speedrun,
Mhm.
like some of the like SimCity games or City Skylines, stuff like
Yeah.
that, where there's actually a lot of routing involved, but it's it just doesn't like read super well. But there's just like lots of people in like these communities just banding together to speedrun this unspeedrunnable game. you know, I
There,
feel like that might actually be super cool.
like speedrunning itself seems like something that's impossible. That's what
Yeah,
kind of what I love watching is you all have found these ways to break these games and continue breaking them to be faster and faster at accomplishing objectives that maybe complete the game, but maybe something totally different. And I just am impressed at the like tenacity that you all have to do that. I will admit I don't necessarily have the time or patience, I think, to break a game myself and to like figure out all of the nuances. Like I'm the first person to like open up the cheat console and like spawn some shit or like roll back the time and in Rimroll just to get what I want. So it's really cool to just see the dedication that you all have to something that I hope brings you joy. I mean, obviously you wouldn't spend so much effort on it if it didn't.
Yeah, even with the event, like if it didn't bring me joy, I wouldn't come back like, 8 years later to keep doing this.
Yeah.
Especially because like it's so much work, so much time commitment, especially while it's live. It's so much work for everyone involved. But at least I can say, I can say for me, but I hope everyone can say that they get so much fulfillment out of just doing SS4C every year. And so many people, come around and donate their time, donate, money to lead. And it just gives me so much joy, even if I'm not like doing a run.
So remind me, what are the games that you run?
I run mostly like movement shooters, like Portal or Half-Life, or I run marble rollers like Super Monkey Ball or Paper Ball.
Yeah. Man, it has been a while since I played Portal. I'm gonna have to get back into that now. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Like Clayton said in the chat, I run Quake also.
Okay, that's great.
But yeah, I don't know how much time it's been. I've not been keeping track.
I don't know, but we do have a bit more time. Also, surprise Piner cameo here.
Hey, I know that name.
Whoa.
I don't know that I've ever seen you.
Maybe once or twice. I don't know. I feel like maybe I wasn't on camera for any of the things last time.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't remember honestly.
But yeah.
So you asked me this question earlier. What are the runs you are excited for this season?
Oh, there's so
or is that
many
or
for
like
me.
are they like your children? Like you have to love all of them equally, or can you like call out some of your most
Okay,
excited?
I love them all equally, but also I love some of these even more. I'm super looking forward to the Monkey Ball Banana Mania randomizer, where it's just a course that's 150 stages long, with every stage randomized and every warp randomized also. So I think they have it set so they can go up to 5 stages back and up to 10 stages ahead. And it's going to be complete madness.
So speedrunning, right, to my knowledge of what little knowledge there is you memorize like a path. Like you memorize like how something is supposed to be done, and you get like really good at doing the same routines. What did you call them? Or you do the same paths.
Yeah, like
so
the same routes.
Thank you, routes. How do you do that with total randomization? That sounds wild.
Good luck. A part of the appeal of doing randos is just you have to react every time, and you have to like be like, okay, at this point I got this, so I guess I can go here instead. Or
so you just have to be like really good at playing the game. Like it's not even. Can you do exploits in something like a randomized game?
Yes. Yeah. So in our Zelda randomizer later on, the 4-way race, everything in the game, I don't know everything. A lot of the stuff in the game is going to be randomized, and they also have to complete a bingo card in a race setting.
Yeah, if you want to know more about that, I am doing that, so I can kind of fill you in there. And so yeah, exactly what you said, where like it's just completely random, so you have to be really good at the game. You have to also be able to like make decisions on the fly. So with bingo for Zelda Ocarina of Time randomizer, what I am mostly doing is I'm looking at the bingo card, I'm looking at what items I have, I'm looking where I can go, and I'm balancing how many item checks basically, because it randomizes every single item. So like I could go into Mito's house, and this thing that normally has 5 rupees now has, the light arrows or whatever.
Okay.
Or it could be an ice trap, and then the game says "you fool" and freezes me.
So you just have to improv. Like you've just got to think on your feet.
Yeah, it's a totally different type of mastery than just like regular speedrunning.
Yeah, and on top of all of that, you got to be good at the movement, you got to be good at the boss fights, you got to be good at weird little esoteric tricks that only come up. Like, I have to be good at this one jump in Fire Temple where I angle it a specific way so that I can skip having Song of Time but still get a certain gold Skulltula, you know? Like a bunch of weird.
Part of me is like I know what you're talking about because I love Zelda, and part of me is like listening as if I'm like Andy who's never played Zelda, and just like everything you said is nonsense, like just gibberish. Dude, that's fantastic. Yeah, I'm super excited to see where this weekend goes.
Yeah. So with that, I'm just gonna plug the next couple of games and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
But yeah, so
Hydro Thunder.
Yeah, so the next run that we have is going to be Klonoa, which is super cute, super cool platformer game. And then Hydro Thunder. And if you guys have never seen Hydro Thunder, you are in for quite the treat. And after that is going to be Pac-Man Championship Edition, and we're going to have our Marble Roller block, and that's going to take us to the rest of the night. So I urge you guys, if you guys have the time, stay, watch the run, support. If you have the funds, absolutely consider donating to Lead. They do incredible work. I want you guys to just sit there and think about that. They do incredible work. Please.
You're very kind.
But yeah, absolutely. I hope you guys donate. Nate, thank you so much for coming out again.
Of course. I love it every time y'all do this. It's a joy to be able to come out and watch and hang out with you all. So thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And hopefully we get transitioned off. Goodbye.